Hi, everyone. I'm Susie Hall, founder of the Cornerstone Collective, and joining me today from Los Angeles area is Studio Collective, Adam, Christian, and Leslie. Thank you for joining me.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yes. Go ahead and if you would tell our viewers a little bit about Studio Collective.
Sure. We're a design studio based in Venice, California. We've been around for about 11 years, working on a range of hospitality projects. About half of our work is sort of local here in LA, and another half sort of all over the country, and doing some projects in Mexico and in Bora Bora. And we do everything from small 2,000 square foot bar projects to we just finished up the renovation of the Virgin Hotel in Las Vegas, the conversion of the Hard Rock, previous Hard Rock, doing 1,500 rooms and suites there. So small to extra large is basically, and everything in between.
That's amazing. And how did the three of you come together to form the collective?
Well, Leslie and I worked together in the early 2000s for a guy named Dodd Mitchell, who was kind of the go-to hospitality designer in LA at the time. And Dodd and Leslie worked previously in the film business as art directors and set designers and
wardrobe stylists.
And yeah, you had a lot of different roles.
Yes.
But a film background, a fine art and film background. And then I met Leslie at Dodd's, back then, and we just clicked, and we've been friends ever since. And then Adam and I actually knew each other previously. We went to SciArc, which is an architecture school here in California, back in 99 or 98. I can't remember. It's been a while now.
Yeah.
But at the end of the 90s, we were actually at the SciArc school here on the west side, not far from our office. And then the school moved to downtown LA, I think, in 2000. And then we graduated in 2001. And we remained friends. And then we, I think maybe 10 years or later or so, we connected at SBE Entertainment, which is, as you know, a big, started out as a nightlife developer and kind of segued into hotels. And now they're doing projects, they've been, I believe, purchased by Acor Group, and they're doing, or collaborating with Acor Group, doing projects all over the world internationally. And so, I think we all were friends from different angles in the design world. And then, end of 08, 09, when everything kind of collapsed, in the world of development, Adam and I just started working together on a little project, freelance, that we brought Leslie in with SBE Entertainment. And that's how it started, kind of very organically, like, hey, let's all work on this thing. We don't have a lot of work to do. And that initially segued into, very quickly after that, a couple other previous clients of ours had reached out to do other hospitality projects, because what we see a lot, and now that we're going through our second kind of downturn market in our career, is, savvy developers use that downturn market to their benefit. And they, whether it's finding distressed assets or it's, leveraging relationships with builders and other developers, they really look at the downtown market as a way to expand and take advantage. And so we started with the three of us, and now, a very slow grind over the course of 10 or 11 years. We have an office of about anywhere from 15 to 20 people. It kind of expands and contracts based on the needs of the projects.
Wow. And I've been so impressed with not only your work, which is amazing, but your teamwork with the three of you, and how synced up you guys are, no matter where you are or what you're working on. What would you say is kind of your magic, your magic bullet with that? How did you get to that point? Because there is some magic in that.
Um,
And who works on what? I guess, maybe to clarify, like, how do you divvy up the work and the responsibilities?
Sure.
we all start together in the beginning of the process, schematically, working together. And then we sort of break off in different areas, but we all have our thing, like I have FF&E, and I have, finishes and materials and Christian and Adam were architecture, and we decided a long time ago that we just wouldn't make our own ideas. The project, you know, the soul of the project is what we do. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think, you know, probably what Leslie's saying is, even though we work well together, we all have sort of different likes and dislikes.
Right.
And so we realized early on that if we were not going to rip each other's hair out, that, you know, it's pretty democratic. There's three of us. So it's always 2 against 1. It's not always the same 2 against 1. And so we just agreed to be like, all right, if I'm the one, then I will defer to my partners and trust that they, you know, have good ideas as well and know that they know what's best. And again, sometimes we all agree and it's easy, but sometimes we don't. And in those instances, we just sort of let sort of, you know, the 2 that are in agreement sort of win out. And in addition to that, as Leslie was saying, you know, we have personal preferences, but we really want the projects to dictate the design as opposed to our personal aesthetic. I think we've all worked for some very successful designers previously that had a certain look, that that's what they were hired for. And, you know, when we were starting, we didn't want our own, you know, aesthetic to be what people hired us for. We wanted, you know, our collaborative nature and sort of the process of how we work and, you know, ideas we bring to the table to sort of be what is attractive to potential clients. And so in doing so, that allows for projects to take on different looks and different feelings depending on the sort of the specific needs of that client and that project.
Mm-hmm. And that's so important. Would you say that that's one of the things that your clients really appreciate about working with Studio Collective? Is that you're designing for them and not for your own brand or your own look?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things that I think they generally appreciate that we approach every project uniquely, and we really listen to what they're trying to achieve as a development, whether it's a bar, restaurant, or a hotel, or a residence. We're working on some residential projects now. It's like we're designing for our clients, and so yes, they're coming to us for you know, a certain level of execution and sophistication and style and all those things that are part of the design process. But at the end of the day, you know, they have a vision that they want to execute, and they really need us to help to bring that to fruition. So I think that's something that they appreciate. I would hope they would. And then I think, you know, I think to your earlier question about roles and relationships, like, we are very actively involved, all 3 of us, on every single project. Not 100% of the time all the way through, because there's just not enough hours a day. But I think what a lot of our clients appreciate, you know, 10, 12 years into this process, is we're not just dealing with the RFP and getting the job, and then you don't really deal with the partners anymore. It's like, we don't ever want to become like that. We don't ever want to get so big where that's all that we're doing. It's really crucial to us, and it's fun for us to be part of the design process. If anything, that's our Achilles heel, is that we're too involved on every project, and we not intentionally. We don't want to. We love giving responsibility and opportunity to our designers. It's just we love the process too, and so we love to be part of that process. And so I think, you know, that's something I think our clients value, is that we're very intimately involved. You know, we still go to client meetings. We're on as many of the conference calls, on the day-to-day calls. And, you know, we're just very involved. And I think that goes a long way.
That goes a huge way. Yeah, very long way. And I know that's something we aligned on early in the process in our relationship, is just the fact that we don't work hands off and take the project in and hand it off to somebody and never see it again. So very impressive how well the 3 of you work together. So kudos to you on that. Shifting gears a little bit, I'd like to ask each of you to just share a favorite space or a moment that you've designed in your career.
For me, it's always 2 things. It's like the last one that we just finished and the one that I'm working on now. Those are all, you know, it's just what's in front of me. And so we recently finished a project, the Bungalow Kitchen in Long Beach, with a long-standing client and someone Christian and I used to work with at SBE, Brent Bolthouse, for the Bungalow project. It was originally going to be just a bungalow sort of bar lounge, like 2 other ones we designed previously. But due to the pandemic, they around December decided to pivot to make it a restaurant concept. And Brent's food partner on those projects is Michael Mina, out of sort of, he has restaurants all over, but originally out of the Bay Area. And so all the furniture was already purchased. For the bar project, it was December. We're supposed to be installing, sort of end of the year, and they decided to pivot to a restaurant. So Leslie and Carly, the designer working on it, put together a whole new FF&E package, in a matter of weeks, and got the whole thing fabricated in about 6 weeks and installed it 2 weeks later. So even though the architecture more or less stayed the same, all the furniture really changed. And so that just opened up, a few weeks ago. And even though it's, we're in California, and originally it was just for outdoor seating, it's now starting to open up indoor seating. So just to see people populating that space and see it, using it, that's always an exciting moment for us and for me. Is you work on something so long and you're just in the weeds, and it's hard to not have tunnel vision. And then all of a sudden, you give it up and you put it out into the world and get to see people, especially for hospitality spaces, get to see people enjoy it. That's always sort of the reward on working on projects like that. So that's where we're at with that one.
That's great. How about you, Christian?
For me, they're, like I always say, they're all my children, so I love them all equally. There's pretty much almost every project we've done we're really proud of, so it's a really hard question to answer. But I'll say, one more recent project that it was much smaller, well, not that much smaller, but it was a smaller project. It was with a repeat client. His name is Brian Ling. We did a project back in 2013 or 2014 called No Name. That's not the name, people just refer to it as No Name. And it was very, very successful. It was kind of like the it spot in Hollywood for a long time, but it was like a cool place that was to hang out, and where artists and musicians and celebrity, all these people came together, and it was a very successful project. And because of that relationship with Brian, he came to us about 2 years later after that project was up and running, and he had this concept to do a pizzeria with a friend of his and a friend of ours, Adam Tomei. And next to it, he had this leftover space, because it was a good lease deal that he structured in downtown LA in the Arts District. And the space left over, it was about 2,000 square feet. He wanted to do kind of a really cool little bar, not like a speakeasy, but kind of a speakeasy, and also very focused on music, which is his passion, because he runs a record management business. And a lot of his clients are bands and talent that he manages. And so he came up with this concept to do based on what are called jazz kissa bars in Tokyo, in and around Japan in the 60s, that you would play live hi-fi music. And he's so into music, and the concept was to do a hi-fi bar. And we really, we were partners with him on that project, financially as well as creatively, and we designed every square inch of that space. It was called In Sheep's Clothing. And I'm really proud of that. Specifically, I helped construction manage that quite a bit. Adam, Leslie, and I put a lot of effort into it because, again, we had equity in the project. And it was a beautiful space. It was like a beautiful little bento box. It had record players on the back of the bar. And it was just like, it wasn't overly designed, and it wasn't overly, we didn't have a big, huge budget, but we got a lot of bang for the buck. And it was just one I really loved working on.
Wow.
Yeah, and unfortunately it closed this summer because of what's going on in the world. It was a shame because it was such a special place, and it was just building steam. I think it only been open about a year. And it's the nature of this business that, you could design a beautiful space and then 2 or 3 years later it's gone, and that's kind of sad. So, but I love it.
Sounds like it was amazing.
Yeah.
So my favorite spot that we've done, well, I have obviously many. It was one of our very first ones, Spare Room at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. We were given the task of taking a janitor's closet and turning it into a bowling alley and a private, like, super sexy club. And it was the first time we've ever had, or at least me, like Christian and Adam, the first time that we we were just starting out, so we were on the project every single day together. You know, not phoning it in, not on the computers. We were like there on site and picking out bowling alleys from Arizona or wherever we got it from, Texas. You know, some guy had some bowling alleys, and learning how to use glass. You know, it's covered with glass windows, and if there's a bowling alley right there, you gotta like make sure the glass is. Just learning so many things on the job. And it's still going, and it's super successful, and it's beautiful, and it's got a place in my personal heart.
It's a timeless project.
Yeah.
And also, you know, you were saying about what the clients love about us, like we love the clients too. And
Right.
Mark and Med, who concepted it, it was their vision, who came to us. We're really good friends with those guys still, some 12 years later. And, you know, we've talked a number of times with them over the years about other projects with them. Unfortunately, a couple of them fell through, but they're great guys. We love them. They're like family, and hopefully we'll do more work with them down the line.
Well, and that's so key. It's all about relationships, especially in this industry. And Leslie, I love your project example. We've designed some boutique bowling centers ourselves and some pretty big bowling spaces. We actually won a national award by Bowler's Journal magazine. I think it was 2012. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And I remember trying to talk the owner into getting these really cool bowling balls in the VIP area. And he was just going to order the standard colors, and he did it, and he loved it. So I think that's great. Just, you know, creating that magic wherever we can. And then Christian, you mentioned construction management, and so much of the details are worked out on site, right? And for designers to be that involved all the way through the project, I think is really important. So those are great.
I think, you know, whenever possible, we'd like to be part of that CA, construction administration experience. Obviously, it's easier to do in Southern California because we can drive there. I mean, we have projects in San Diego that we're driving down to, and you know, it gets a little more tricky when you have a project in Vegas or Miami because, you know, it involves flying the designers there. But, you know, the successful projects were more involved, not less involved. So case in point, we did a project in Miami for Swire Hotel Group. And we did two giant projects, one on the roof and one on the 5th floor called called Quinto by Luasia. And, you know, to that client's credit, they flew us there, you know, once, you know, it wasn't every week. Architectonica, the architect, was doing the general CA, but once the walls were built and the finishes were going in, they were flying us there twice a month or every 3 weeks. And it really paid off because the project, you know, not just because we were there, but because of the collaborative nature of us with the architect, the owner, and the builder. We all worked really well together, and it really, you know, it was difficult, like every project's difficult, but it came out really great because, you know, we were there during that process.
Yeah, so true. Well, shifting gears a little bit, but we've already touched on it, is what appeals to you all about the collaboration with the Cornerstone Collective? I mean, obviously your business model is very similar to what TCC is, but interested to hear what you're excited about with that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, as you alluded to early, we're collaborative by nature. It's part of how we got our name, which I know Collective is very much, as you know, in the ethos. When we sort of started, maybe not as much, but for us, the Collective is not just us. It extends to our staff, our clients, our vendors, you know, artists we work with, our whole sort of extended, you know, network of people. And adding to that, you know, finding like-minded people along the way, whether they're clients or other designers or, you know, other purchasing agents, whatever it is, that are sort of in our field, is always exciting for us. We always find, and we tell this to our clients all the time, like for us, the best projects are ones where you sort of have a mutual respect for the project and you're not always going to agree on stuff. And we get pushed by our clients or architect or the contractor, and we push back, and it's sort of this, you know, yin-yang type of thing where it's not, you know, it just comes out of wanting what's best for the project. And just in our conversations with you and some of the members of your team, it seems like you're very much of that same mindset. And so just finding like-minded people in this field who sort of come at it from a similar place is always exciting to us, and being able to sort of collaborate on projects and If, you know, the last year has taught us anything, it's, you know, how we work on projects, whether that is now, you know, has been remote for the last year is probably going to change. And I don't think any of us know for sure what it's going to look like coming out of this. But I do imagine sort of, you know, collaborations will sort of be, you know, a little bit more common, you know, different people taking on, whether it's different scope or just, you know, different people running different parts of the project. It just seems like that, you know, makes more sense from a business perspective. And so being able to sort of, you know, find some of those potential relationships, I think is exciting to us. And, you know, we're looking forward to how that sort of plays itself out.
Yeah.
I would just add too, it's just like, you know, you guys bring a range of different relationships and different experiences in different parts of the world that maybe we aren't as privy to at the moment. And so I think it's a nice thing to, you know, obviously be selected by you guys to work together, and then, you know, have that opportunity of maybe making new relationships with other clients or other development teams that we may not have necessarily had exposure to. So, you know, I think it goes both ways, like, as we're going to bring different artists or different vendors or different, you know, partners to the projects that we work on to the TCC group. And likewise, you're bringing different relationships. So it kind of goes both ways, which is nice.
Yeah, and your point earlier about the expanding and the contracting, you know, that's always been a challenge in our industry, and we're all super passionate about our industry. And so, you know, me 30 years in it, it was like, gosh, how can we assist each other? And like you said, like-minded people help with that expansion and contraction and help each other out so that there's not as much up and down with our staffs and our teams. And then also collectively, we have bigger and better capacity. And there's a lot of magic that comes, you know, when we all come together. So we're very excited to have you as part of the collective.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, 2 last questions, and you can choose who answers. You can all answer. First one, what are you most looking forward to in 2021? And we're already 3.5 months in. Hard to believe.
One thing we're really excited about, I'm actually excited about a lot of things. But I'd say one thing that we're really excited about is we're working on our furniture collection. It's been in the works now about 6 months. It's something we've always wanted to do, but we've always been so incredibly busy. We haven't really had the time to put forward. And the last year, obviously we've had a little bit more time, and we've really put that energy into our furniture line. And what's exciting is we live in Venice, which for those of you that know or don't know, it's even though we're part of a big city, it's a pretty residential, you know, environment that we live in, or mixed creative residential environment. And the thing is, a lot of Venice was built in the 20s and 30s and 40s as a vacation destination for Hollywood and further parts of LA. So a lot of the homes and the buildings are very tight spaces and small. And so that was an inspiration for us, as well as we're working on a hotel down the street from us, which was built in the 20s. I think it was a flop house initially, but it's a hotel now, and we're renovating it. And it's literally down the street from us. It's very exciting. And so as part of that hotel, which also is very small rooms, and what the places that Adam and I actually live in Venice and Ocean Park, we decided to make our collection be really inspired by where we live and how we live, which is compact spaces by the beach. And so we haven't named the collection yet, but it's something we're working hard on. And I think in the next year, it's going to be coming to fruition. And it's exciting because it's like we're developing things for, you know, for this project, this hotel project, but also for thinking in future, like what are the things that we're always looking for, you know, on every project that it's hard to find, you know, whether it's a bar stool or a chaise lounge for a small space, which always comes up, or unique sconces that are, you know, they meet the ADA code for being 4 inches deep, but they're still cool looking and they're still providing a good light source. And so all these things, we've designed so much custom furniture over the last 10 years. We're constantly doing it for other people. We thought, why not do it for ourselves, that we can maybe reuse it on some of our projects, you know, and also offer that out to people that might be interested in that kind of California aesthetic.
Wow, that's exciting. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, us too. It's been a long process.
Coming along.
It is.
Anyone else want to share what you're looking forward to, or are you all in agreement on that one?
I was just gonna say, I'm looking forward to like going out to a restaurant again, eating. Like Christian's answer was much better than mine, but like the last 2 years, I mean, me and my wife used to eat out, you know, we both work, so it's like 4 or 5 nights a week, or at least like get takeout. And now it's just like we've become such homebodies. So it's like the idea of going to a concert, hopefully, or going out to a nice meal, just things that we used to take for granted. Hopefully, you know, as people start to get vaccinated and the world opens up again, like that'll sort of
That's true.
become more of our sort of normal routine again, because I definitely miss it.
I just want to add one thing. I'm really looking forward to getting all the designers back in the office, because it's just the energy here is so great when everybody's, you know, sitting around a table, throwing swatches out and talking design, and, you know, Zoom calls are great and all that stuff has worked, but, you know, just there's nothing that can take the place of just getting everybody together and doing like think tanks and all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to that.
I totally agree, and I'm excited to come visit you guys when I'm down in your area.
Definitely.
Looking forward.
Okay, last thing, I like to ask this question sometimes to creatives, and that is, what is your favorite piece of clothing and why?
Oh gosh, I'll take this one. I have been collecting clothing my entire life since I was I think I designed my first dress when I was like maybe 6 years old. My poor mom had to sew it. It's like a ball gown I had to wear to school. But my favorite piece of clothing, to answer your question, is a 1950s Balenciaga dress that I have hanging. It's vintage, of course. I love to collect. And I found it at a shop when I was in, I think, 9th grade. And it's super relevant. And it's got the couture's name and date. And it's just, to me, so special. So, and the print is like, I've never seen anything like it. And I've never worn it.
Well, maybe you'll get to wear it this year.
Yeah, maybe so.
That's great. Anyone else?
Leslie,
you're all very fashionable, so that's why.
Leslie, you know, she's up here, we're down here. So yeah, it's hard to top that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the conversation. It's been great just learning more about Studio Collective, projects you guys have and are working on, what drives you. Love your passion for the industry and what you put out there on social media. Encourage our viewers to follow you guys on social media. You can go to our website, thecornerstonecollective.net, and navigate to the associates page and find Studio Collective. You can also find them all over the internet. And I just so appreciate you guys taking the time today. Glad we overcame our technology challenges. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your week and your spring. And I do hope I'm down in your area here before too long. So thank you again for your time.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Susie. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's been fun.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.